Some movie stars dominate the screen by being larger than life. Sam Rockwell does the opposite. He slips into a role, disappears, and suddenly you realize you're watching one of the most unpredictable, magnetic performers of his generation. Whether he's stealing scenes in a supporting role or carrying a film on sheer charisma, Rockwell brings danger, humor, vulnerability, and a strange electricity that makes even the smallest moments unforgettable. He's the actor you don't always notice right away until you can't imagine the movie without him. Today, we're taking a look at the 10 movies that define Sam Rockwell at his best, their performances that show why he's more than a character actor, more than a scene stealer, and one of the most compelling talents in modern cinema. Sam Rockwell was born on November 5th of 1968 in Daly City, California, into a family of actors. He grew up moving between San Francisco and New York City after his parents divorced, eventually settling in New York, where he became immersed in theater at a young age. Rockwell attended the High School of Performing Arts, but left early, choosing instead to pursue acting work directly on stage and screen. He got his start in the late 1980s with small film roles and television appearances, gradually building a reputation as a standout character actor. His breakthrough came in 1996 with Box on Moonlight, followed by scene-stealing performances in films like Confessions of a Dangerous Mind from 2002 and Matchstick Men from 2003. Over time, Rockwell became known for playing complex, often morally ambiguous characters, blending charm, menace, and vulnerability in unconventional ways. His career reached a major milestone in 2017 when he won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as Jason Dixon in Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Today, Sam Rockwell is widely regarded as one of the most versatile actors of his generation, an unpredictable performer whose presence elevates every film he's part of, whether in leading roles or unforgettable supporting turns. Beyond Harrison Ford, Sam Rockwell is my favorite actor because of how completely unpredictable he is. Harrison Ford represents the classic movie star, iconic roles, timeless heroes, and effortless screen presence. Sam Rockwell, on the other hand, represents something different, transformation. You never quite know what you're going to get, and that's what makes watching him so exciting. Rockwell doesn't rely on archetypes or leading man polish. He leans into flawed, strange, funny, and often uncomfortable characters and somehow makes them feel honest and human. Whether he's playing a villain, an anti-hero, or someone quietly broken, there's always complexity beneath the surface. Even in small roles, he brings an energy that elevates the entire film. What sets him apart for me is that he feels like an actor's actor. He takes risks, commits fully, and never coasts on familiarity. Every performance feels intentional, physical, and alive. While Harrison Ford made me fall in love with movies, Sam Rockwell keeps reminding me why acting itself is such a powerful art form. And while awards and acclaim tell part of his story, Sam Rockwell's legacy is really written in the roles themselves, the performances that linger, the characters that surprise you, and the movies that simply wouldn't work without him. So now, let's dive into the films that showcase Sam Rockwell at his absolute best, his top 10 movies, at least in my opinion. Moon is a psychological sci-fi drama written by Nathan Parker and directed by Duncan Jones in his feature debut, released in 2009. It was produced on a modest $5 million budget and grossed under $10 million, but earned widespread critical praise and won the 2010 Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation. Set in the near future, the film centers on Sam Bell, a lone astronaut nearing the end of a 3-year contract, working for Lunar Industries on the far side of the moon. His job is harvesting helium-3, a vital clean energy source for Earth. With no live communication to Earth, only pre-recorded messages from his wife Tess, Sam's only companion is an AI robot named Gertie, voiced by Kevin Spacey. As his isolation intensifies, in the final weeks, Sam begins hallucinating and suffers a near-fatal rover accident. He regains consciousness in the infirmary and can't recall the crash. Gertie mentions a rescue team is coming, raising Sam's suspicion, especially since communication was supposed to be down. Investigating the crash site, Sam discovers a second, identical version of himself, another clone, all leading to the startling realization that he's not unique. Lunar Industries has been cycling clones to maintain the operation, erasing their memories and disposing of them at the end of their lifespan. The two Sams grapple with their purpose and mortality. With Gertie's aid, they uncover the corporation's deceit and plan to expose it. The older, deteriorating clone stays behind to die, while the younger escapes to Earth aboard a helium-3 transport, carrying proof of the scandal. Gertie, having developed empathy, assists them, ultimately choosing to shut down to preserve their mission. Critics commonly emphasize that Moon is essentially a two-person film and a one-man show. Rockwell is on screen nearly the entire time, delivering a nuanced and emotionally complex performance, alternating between raw vulnerability, tension, and despair. His portrayal anchors the film's emotional core and is frequently cited as one of his career best performances. Moon is praised for its thoughtful, low-key approach to sci-fi, favoring psychological tension over action, reminiscent of classic films like 2001: A Space Odyssey. It holds strong critic scores around 90% on Rotten Tomatoes and 83 on Metacritic, and cemented Duncan Jones as a promising director. Seven Psychopaths is a satirical crime comedy drama written and directed by Martin McDonagh, known for its dark humor, meta-narrative, and star-studded cast including Colin Farrell, Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson, and Christopher Walken. It premiered at TIFF in September of 2012 and was released theatrically in October in the US and December in the UK. Colin Farrell plays Marty, a struggling screenwriter working on a script titled Seven Psychopaths, stuck in writer's block. Sam Rockwell plays Billy, Marty's eccentric friend, a part-time actor and full-time dog kidnapper whose unpredictable nature and hidden darkness drive much of the plot. Christopher Walken is Hans, Billy's calm and philosophical partner driven by religious conviction. And Woody Harrelson plays Charlie Costello, a violent gangster whose Shih Tzu is kidnapped, propelling the central conflict. Marty, inhibited by his creative paralysis, finds inspiration through Billy and Hans, who embark on a scheme to kidnap dogs for reward money. Things explode when they steal Charlie Costello's beloved pet, dragging Marty into the criminal underground. To fuel his script, Billy even invites real psychopaths to meet Marty and reveals he himself is the infamous Jack of Diamonds serial killer, staging a desert showdown for dramatic effect. The themes and style are meta and self-reflective. A film about writing a film, it deconstructs storytelling itself. Dark comedy with emotional grounding blends ultra-violence, absurdity, and existential reflection, balanced by poignancy in characters like Hans. Homage and subversion references classic gangster cliches while deliberately subverting them. Sam Rockwell's Billy is the emotional pivot of the film, brash, chaotic, and charged with volatility. Critics widely praised his performance for its unpredictability and charisma. In many eyes, Rockwell, alongside Walken, steals nearly every scene he's in, enriching the narrative with depth and dark charm. The film garnered positive reviews, Rotten Tomatoes about 82%, IMDb score 7.1 out of 10. Reviewers celebrated its clever screenplay, layered tone, and provocative energy. Stevens reports noting that Rockwell gave the best performance. While some critics felt the meta-structure attempted too many moves, the general consensus holds its sharp wit and fearless storytelling in high regard. Seven Psychopaths occupies a unique place in modern black comedy, visceral and cerebral, violent yet emotional, anchored by Sam Rockwell's electrifying performance in a tale about the cost of narrative obsession. The Way, Way Back is a coming-of-age drama about feeling invisible and finding the one place where you finally matter. The film follows Duncan, a shy and withdrawn teenager spending an uncomfortable summer at a beach house with his mother and her emotionally abusive boyfriend. From the opening scene, Duncan is made to feel small, unsure of himself, and out of place. Everything changes when he stumbles into a rundown water park and meets Owen, played by Sam Rockwell. Owen is the opposite of the authority figures in Duncan's life. He's relaxed, funny, and perfect, and most importantly, kind. He gives Duncan a job, but more than that, he gives him confidence, independence, and a sense of belonging. Sam Rockwell's performance is the heart of the movie. Owen isn't a fantasy mentor or a flawless role model. He's human, messy, and grounded, but he knows how to see people when they need it most. Rockwell brings warmth, humor, and sincerity to the role, making Owen one of the most memorable and emotionally resonant characters of his career. At its its core, The Way Back is about small victories, standing up for yourself, finding your voice, and realizing your worth. It's a quiet film with a big emotional payoff, and one of the best examples of Sam Rockwell's ability to bring soul and humanity to a supporting role. The Best of Enemies 2019 unfolds during a racially charged summer in Durham, North Carolina. A tragic fire at a black school prompts a court-ordered charrette, a public forum to discuss the forced integration of schools. On opposite sides of this conflict stand Anne Atwater, portrayed by Taraji P. Henson, a fierce civil rights activist fighting for equity, and C.P. Ellis, portrayed by Sam Rockwell, the local Ku Klux Klan leader, both appointed as co-chairs. What begins in tension and hostility gradually evolves into an uneasy conversation that forces both to confront deeply held beliefs. Rockwell's portrayal of C.P. Ellis is central to the film. As a proud yet insecure Klan leader, his arc moves from ingrained prejudice to personal reckoning. Rockwell brings nuance, exposing Ellis's hypocrisy and hidden vulnerabilities, particularly his love for his disabled son, which fuel a transformation that feels quietly profound rather than performative. According to critics, even in a strong ensemble, Rockwell often steals the scene with his layered, emotionally charged performance. The movie explores themes of empathy, redemption, and the gradual unraveling of institutional racism. At its core is the spectacle of two enemies finding common ground through dialogue, a reminder that change often comes from human connection. Though some critics argue the narrative leans too heavily toward a white savior frame and softens the political edge, the real emotional stakes, fear, guilt, and compassion remain compelling. In Sam Rockwell's career, The Best of Enemies stands out as one of his most socially significant supporting role. After his Oscar-winning turn in Three Billboards, the film finds his channeling intensity in a real-world conflict. This isn't about eccentricity or comic timing. It's about quiet moral upheaval and humanity. Rockwell's Ellis embodies the risk of change, proving why this film has earned him a place in any top 10 of his most important performances. Jojo Rabbit from 2019 begins in the final days of World War II, where we follow 10-year-old Johannes Jojo Betzler, a fervent Hitler Youth member whose imaginary friend is a goofy, childlike Hitler, given voice and comedic flair by Taika Waititi. His loyalty shatters when he learns his mother, played by Scarlett Johansson, has secretly been hiding a Jewish teenager, Elsa, in their attic. Jojo's worldview turns upside down, leading him to confront the beliefs he never questioned. Sam Rockwell embodies Captain Kletzendorf, the gruff yet nuanced commander of the local Hitler Youth camp. Initially demoted and disillusioned, he quietly resents the regime and secretly aims to shield Jojo from its fanaticism. Rockwell layers the role with complexity, snap judgments, and rigid discipline on the surface, but undercut by weary empathy. His portrayal offers one of the film's most memorable emotional anchors, with critics praising his subtle scene-stealing presence. At its core, Jojo Rabbit is an anti-hate satire that deconstructs propaganda through comedy and humanity. It uses imaginative and absurdist tones to expose the ridiculousness of extremist ideology and illustrate the transformative power of empathy and human connection. The film ultimately celebrates motherhood, innocence, and the antidote to blind fanaticism. A message as timely as it is transformative. For Rockwell, Jojo Rabbit marks a departure from his Oscar-winning dramatic weight into dark comedic territory with emotional depth. His Captain Kletzendorf is not a caricature, but a fully realized figure, flawed, conflicted, quietly brave. This performance added another dimension to Rockwell's range, affirming why he belongs on any top 10 list. He turns a supporting role into a quietly heroic beacon of moral complexity. Galaxy Quest 1999 is a loving sci-fi comedy about fated fame, fandom, and unexpected heroism. The story follows the cast of an old Star Trek-style television show who now survive on convention appearances and nostalgia. When a group of real aliens mistake the show's reruns for historical records, the actors are accidentally recruited to help fight a genuine interstellar war, forcing them to confront who they are versus who they pretended to be on screen. Sam Rockwell Rockwell plays Guy Fleegman, the most self-aware character in the film, as a newly added, nameless crew member. Guy is painfully aware that characters like him usually die early and violently. Rockwell turns this anxiety into comedic gold, infusing the role with nervous energy, sharp timing, and escalating panic. Despite limited screen time, his presence is endlessly quotable and widely regarded as one of the movie's comedic highlights. Beneath the humor, Galaxy Quest is about identity and purpose. It celebrates fandom while questioning cynicism, asking whether pretending to be heroes long enough might eventually make you one. The film balances parody with genuine affection for science fiction storytelling, treating its absurd premise with sincerity rather than mockery. And that sincerity is what gives the movie its lasting heart. In Sam Rockwell's career, Galaxy Quest is an early example of his scene-stealing instincts. Guy Fleegman could have been a throwaway joke, but Rockwell makes him memorable and strangely relatable. It's a reminder that even at the start of his career, Rockwell had the rare ability to turn a small role into something iconic, earning Galaxy Quest as a well-deserved place among his most beloved films. Richard Jewell from 2019 is a true crime drama centered on the devastating cost of suspicion and media frenzy. Set during the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, the film follows Richard Jewell, a quiet, rule-following security guard who discovers a bomb and helps evacuate civilians, only to find himself swiftly recast as the prime suspect. What begins as a story of heroism turns into a nightmare of public humiliation, paranoia, and institutional failure. Sam Rockwell plays Watson Bryant, the sharp, sarcastic defense attorney who takes on Jewell's case when almost everyone else assumes his guilt. Rockwell grounds the film emotionally, portraying Bryant as deeply frustrated but fiercely principled. His performance is built on controlled anger and moral clarity. Never flashy but relentlessly focused, he becomes Jewell's shield against a system more interested in appearances than truth. The film explores themes of presumption of guilt, media irresponsibility, and how easily an ordinary person can be destroyed by narrative. Richard Jewell is less about the crime itself and more about how power operates, how law enforcement, journalists, and public opinion can align into something crushing. It's a cautionary tale about authority without accountability and empathy without patience. In Rockwell's career, Richard Jewell stands as one of his most restrained and purposeful performances. There are no eccentric tics or explosive moments, just intelligence, conviction, and quiet decency. Rockwell's Watson Bryant embodies integrity under pressure, proving that heroism doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like standing your ground when the whole world has already made up its mind. I just watched this a couple nights ago and it was crazy. Good luck, have fun, don't die. 2026 plunges us into a late night diner in Los Angeles, where a disheveled stranger, later revealed as a man from the future, bursts in claiming the world will soon fall to a rogue artificial intelligence. He insists that a very specific group of patrons must join him on a one-night mission to prevent apocalypse. What starts as a surreal recruiting pitch soon becomes a high-stakes, genre-bending adventure as reality blurs with flashbacks explaining each recruit's personal struggles, addiction to technology, grief, and virtual escapism. Sam Rockwell plays the unnamed time traveler with his signature blend of manic charisma and emotional grounding. He's wild-eyed and intense, but never loses sight of the mission's stakes. Under Rockwell's command, the character becomes a compelling mix of fanatic urgency and existential clarity. Critics say Rockwell rips through the role, anchoring the film's chaotic energy with a performance that remains oddly human amid the absurdity. Beneath the gonzo sci-fi chaos, the movie tackles our collective over-reliance on technology, the seductive trap of virtual worlds, and how isolation can leave us defenseless against forces we barely understand. By combining time loops and AI threats with deeply human backstories, the film questions whether our only hope lies in reclaiming real connection and empathy. For Rockwell, this role marks a bold re-entry into speculative high-concept genre following his acclaimed dramatic work. He transforms what could have been a caricature into a memorable central figure, a frantic prophet who feels both absurd and necessary. This performance highlights Rockwell's unique skill at merging emotional authenticity with comedic intensity, earning Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die a solid spot in any top 10 of his most daring, scene-stealing roles. Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri from 2017 opens in a small Missouri town where Mildred Hayes, portrayed by Frances McDormand, is desperate for justice after her daughter's brutal murder. After months with no progress from law enforcement, Mildred rents three dilapidated billboards outside town, emblazoned with a daring indictment aimed at the local police chief. This act ignites tension, exposing grief and frustration simmering beneath everyday life in Ebbing. Sam Rockwell plays Officer Jason Dixon, a volatile, deeply flawed cop who idolizes the chief and initially reacts with aggression and ignorance toward Mildred's crusade. Rockwell's transformation is seismic. He moves from a repulsive bully to a battered man grappling with guilt, particularly after a shocking, unedited assault captured in one brutal bar scene. Through subtle shifts, hallmarks of Rockwell's controlled yet raw physicality, he evolves into a figure neither heroic nor vilified, but profoundly human. The film wrestles with themes of grief, redemption, and moral ambiguity. It asks whether righteous anger can coexist with empathy and whether individuals, even those who cause harm, can change. Dixon's redemptive steps, offering a simple glass of juice, expressing empathy, and finally joining Mildred in searching for justice, underscores McDonough's belief in complexity over closure. This role catapulted Rockwell to his highest acclaim, earning him the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor amidst a film that grossed over $160 million worldwide and earned widespread critical praise for its screenplay and cast. Three Billboards remains a defining moment in Rockwell's career, a performance that balanced darkness and empathy, solidifying his status as one of today's most fearless and transformative actors. So this last one is very much a very guilty pleasure film and one of my favorite Sam Rockwell films to date, just for rewatchability alone. Mr. Right, 2015, is a dark romantic comedy that lives at the intersection of violence and vulnerability. The film follows Martha, a lonely woman recovering from a toxic relationship who unexpectedly meets Francis, a charming, upbeat man with an unusual profession. He's a hitman who kills the people who hire him. What starts as an offbeat romance quickly turns into a stylized chase movie where love and danger become inseparable. Sam Rockwell is the soul of the film as Francis, delivering one of his most effortlessly charismatic performances. He plays the character with warmth, humor, and a strange moral clarity, transforming a potentially gimmicky premise into something sincere. Rockwell leans into physicality, rhythm, and improvisational energy, making Francis feel both dangerous and deeply likable. It's a role that only works because of Rockwell's ability to balance menace with gentleness in the same breath. The movie explores themes of self-acceptance and emotional healing through absurdity. Mr. Right isn't asking the audience to believe in realism, it's asking them to believe in connection. Violence is exaggerated and stylized, while the emotional beats remain grounded. At its core, the film suggests that love doesn't fix broken people, but it can create a space where broken people feel safe enough to be themselves. In Sam Rockwell's career, Mr. Right stands out as a cult favorite performance that showcases his playful side. It's not an awards-driven role, but it's one that highlights why he's so compelling to watch, his ability to commit fully to strange material and elevate it through sheer presence. For fans of Rockwell, this film feels like a reminder that sometimes his most enjoyable performances are the ones where he's clearly having the most fun. When you look at Sam Rockwell's career as a whole, what stands out isn't just the range, it's the honesty. He plays heroes without polish, villains with humanity, and outsiders who feel more real than the leads around them. No matter the genre or screen time, he brings intention, risk, and a sense that anything could happen in the next moment. These films represent more than performances, they're reminders of why character actors matter and why Rockwell has quietly become one of the most essential performers of his generation. He doesn't chase legacy, he builds it one role at a time. That's my top 10 Sam Rockwell movies. Let me know which performances you'd add, which ones you'd move, or which hidden gems deserve more attention. And if you love movies driven by unforgettable characters, stick around. There's plenty more to talk about.